So the last thing we're going to talk about is, again, another thing that really wasn't touched on at all that much, and kind of, it was in the displays and it was just tucked away in the corner, and no one was paying attention to it. Transformers Cyberverse is going to have tiny turbo changers. Clearly the success of tiny turbo changers from a movie standpoint is apparent. It's doing very well. So they're going to be making more. And the good thing is, it looks like all of these Cyberverse ones, at least most of them, are original molds, which is good. One or two, I could see some tooling from the past tiny turbo changers, but otherwise, most of them are original molds, and it's all characters that we probably would have not gotten had it been just a movie line. And also, it kind of tells us what could be, number one, either it could be characters that are going to appear in the Cyberverse show, or alternatively, if they don't appear in the show, then it does give us an idea of Cyberverse tiny turbo changers giving us characters that normally don't appear in fiction. But I'm leaning more towards the former. I think this is going to be like pretty much a spoiler list, and I'll get into it. So we have Cyberverse tiny turbo changer Prowl. He's a new mold, new tooling, looks really cool. Not much more I could say. We got Hot Rod, again, new tooling, looks really cool. Starscream. The Optimus clearly is the Optimus that was taken from the tiny turbo changers for the Bumblebee movie.
Yep.
So the new one that's going to be coming out, not the one that we got thus far. So that one is probably a repaint remold. Then we got Grimlock. Again, it's a brand new mold. Here's the interesting one, and even the logo that's with it. We have Blackarachnia. Now, number one keeps the trademark. So we have Blackarachnia now trademarked again. The last time we saw Blackarachnia trademark was Creo, amazingly. And she also has the Predacon logo. So does that tell us something? Is she going to be appearing in the Cyberverse show? Is the Predacon faction going to be a thing in the Cyberverse show? So that's an interesting take that could be taken from this because of her being part of this line. Then we have Autobot Drift. We just talked about Deadlock, so clearly we're going to see his story arc at some point going from Decepticon to Autobot. We have Soundwave. We have Jetfire, which again, too, we didn't really know much of Jetfire outside of the Spark Armor stuff, so now we have indication of that. Again, looking very much like his cartoon counterpart from Generation 1. We have Bumblebee. We have Megatron, which has his little mace and everything. And then we have Shockwave. So this is the first 12 that will be available for Wave 1, and the good thing with tiny turbo changers, everything is, the packaging is marked, so even though they're blind packed, you could still figure out which characters are which. And I mean, this is a pretty stellar lineup. It's pretty cool. And I mean, again, the Blackarachnia being probably the most important because it tells us, hey, we're going to be getting her at some point in the show.
Well, yeah, we also remember not too long ago we were just talking about the Masterpiece one too on top of that.
Well, yeah, and what that probably is a good indication too was they probably want to get this trademark fresh here for America so that if, and this is a big if, because I mean we never got Cheetor, but if they ever do want to bring Masterpiece Blackarachnia over, they have the trademark at least ready and secure. And again,
did we get Optimal Optimus?
There was some kind of a limited release that was done at some point, but nothing on a large scale.
Okay.
But I mean, this is when Toys R Us still was a thing for the States. That was so it was a different.
Because the reason I asked that is because of the not Combiner. Was it Combiner? No, not Combiner Wars. Battle of the Primes line. We got an Optimal Optimus name there. Power of the Primes. Thank you. We got that there.
I don't know.
That character did show up. So
to me, it's something that we've had Masterpiece toys from the movie side that have been consistent in retail. But the Generation 1 ones have been pretty spotty, and anything that's outside of that too, like the Beast Wars stuff and everything. So
yeah,
I mean, but at least it shows, hey, we got the Blackarachnia trademark tied up again. It shows that she's going to be in the show at some point, and the Predacon logo is there, so it means that there's a possibility that it might involve something too. In the same way that, I mean, we had Blackarachnia and animated, but she wasn't really a Predacon so much as that she was just a Decepticon that was transformed and stuff. It's the same thing like when we were introduced to the character Arachnid in Transformers Prime,
Yeah, that was a completely different character altogether.
And for me, it was just me going like, is this going to be a thing for the long run? Like, are we going to have another Spider Lady that's a Decepticon? You know, what's going to happen?
I know. For Prime itself, I kind of dug it because it was like, oh, it's a different character. Okay, they're expanding here. You know, they had that. The fact that RC is a little bit different. She's like a brooding character now. You know, like they're trying different things. That's something I kind of I kind of dig about Prime.
I like it because Blackarachnia is a very different character from Arachnid.
Yeah, exactly.
So it made it made sense. And also, I mean, the primary reason why Arachnid also was a thing in the show was because they were trademarking an old trademark from Beast Wars.
Oh, really? Okay.
Arachnid was the name of the Microverse playset back in the day. So,
oh my goodness, that's a blast from the past. I remember like looking at that weird thing in your house.
So that's where that came from. So it's, you know, the thing with Transformers, and we've discussed this a lot of times in the past with the podcast, is that sometimes, you know, trademarks are very indicative of stuff, and it really lets you know what's coming and what's being planned. And again, this Blackarachnia, it's a little tiny turbo changer, but it also tells you a big scope of what might be coming down the line. So and she looks great. That's a really cool looking one too.
So I mean, if you can't go all out on the MP Blackarachnia, you can totally pick up this one. And I think it'd be very easy to figure out which one it is in the blind pack.
Oh yeah, if you want to do it, I call it the Lego style, which is
the feel.
The feel. She'll probably be one of the easiest to figure out because of those spider legs.
Yeah.
But the cool thing with tiny turbo changers is, number one, there's the feel. Number two, they have a peekaboo window, which is another thing too. They have a little small. It's like 2 millimeters, but it's a little clear window, so you could also kind of look in the packaging.
Yeah.
And number three, they're all coated. So it's one of those things that if you go, okay, Blackarachnia, well, she's primarily black, and no one else is primarily black here. So if you see a primary black figure, like even if it's just a small little piece of the plastic through the window, you go, well, it's clearly her. Then, of course, you have the code. Then you could also tell by the shape. Like that, and if you even notice, like, everything here, aside from like Hot Rod and Optimus sharing red, everyone kind of has their own primary colors in a lot of ways. Except Drift and Prowl too, I guess, and Jetfire. But it's like, yellow is going to be Bumblebee, gray is going to be, the silverish gray is going to be Megatron, the more bluish gray is going to be Grimlock, the blue is going to be Soundwave, the purple is going to be Shockwave. The teal
Starscream.
The teal kind of blue is going to be Starscream. So they make sure that it's not too tough to ID stuff, and then by the time you figure out the color, then the shape gives way, because Hot Rod's not going to feel like a truck. Optimus isn't going to feel like a flat car. As someone myself who has stood in Walmart and Toys R Us looking through codes, again,
people looking at you like you're crazy.
Oh, please. You know what? Go to any Lego section on the launch of any minifig line.
Oh, jeez.
You'll see like at least 5 or 6 guys, and them, they don't have codes. So they're just sitting there,
feeling.
And what they do, and I see this all the time. What they do is they feel up the bag, and they don't look at the bag. They stare at the roof. So it's all on in the fingers, and it's like, is that a sword? Is that a sword? Who comes with the sword? And then they look in there. And I just remember, anytime I go to Toys R Us on a Friday and it's a launch, like the Lego movie that just came out, and you just see 3 or 4 guys all huddled around it, feeling up stuff. Where at least we have codes. Us, it's like, oh, it's G. G is this guy. Okay, good. It's Grimlock, or G. They make it really simple. If you go on if you type ID codes, stuff will come up. And I did a few YouTube videos too, showing people how to identify stuff. So, but this is awesome. These are really cool, and I'm excited about. Hey, another Hot Rod and a Blackarachnia. I'm down.